also not one of the pastors here. All right, I am Tim Norman. I am not one of the pastors here at the Village Christian Church. To dive in a little bit in my background and my journey with Christ, I was born into a Catholic family, went to church every week, baptized, and they were a believing family, and that was kind of my upbringing. Went to Catholic school through fifth grade, and that was what my education and what things were rooted in. So I could always tell you I believed in Jesus. I believed in death, resurrection. I could tell you factually he died for our sins, and I can answer a lot of questions. But I also had a little bit of a misunderstanding of faith as I didn't even really understand the difference between like Catholic and Christian for a little bit of time spent. So about fifth grade is where I moved out of the Catholic school, went to Shanahan, and still we would drive to Joliet or go to St. Anne's Church in Shanahan, and I go with my parents every week, and I was getting very involved in knowing the process and knowing what to do in that. And then it was high school. I met a girl named Cassie, and that relationship started to grow and blossom, and she was a Methodist, which you get kind of involved into the whole denominational type with church. It can get pretty messy of trying to figure out like, hey, what's right? What do we believe? What do you believe? And so that's kind of like once our relationship started getting to a point where it was serious, it was, first of all, are we going to be Cubs fans or Cardinals fans? And second of all, are we going to be Catholics or Methodists? And so we started going on this journey, and I went to college, and that was about where I started trying different churches on for size. And tried some different churches, graduated college, me and Cassie got married. We church shopped in town and around and eventually settled in the Methodist church, which is when Charlie was born, actually where we had her baptized. And the one thing, though, is still to that level, no matter what building I was in, I couldn't tell you really much more about Christianity aside from it was a means to being a good person. I used to always say the phrase that a lot of people say of being in church makes you a Christian just as much as standing in a garage makes you a car. Because I thought being a Christian was being a good person. It was being nice, it was giving, it was doing things, and that it was doing all of the things that we eventually know are the fruits of the Spirit. And then it was 2016 is the date that I've picked that we started coming here. I don't actually know that for sure. But I've just cemented in it and written it on so many things that we're going to say I started here in 2016. And this is where church was kind of turned upside down for me. I started opening my Bible and developing a personal relationship with Christ. And it was from going to small group, maybe doing the little Bible reading that we needed to do the once a week for that, to let's do our own plans. Let's study. Let's do a book. When we go on vacation, we always study a book together. And really to a point of like opening every day, and I noticed myself leaning less and less on our sermons, on our pastors, on what was going on in church. And this was what I felt was the strongest church I'd ever been in, and it was the one I was least dependent on. And it really, my relationship with my wife changed, the way I parented changed, the way I behaved at work changed, and it was pretty abrupt. And it was when we were pregnant with Imri, who's 3 now, so this would have been about a little over 4 years ago, was where really these changes started to happen, started to come through. And we were in a bit of a messy spot in our marriage. And everything changed and everything is different. And to see what 4 years can do in that growth is what makes me so excited for the future. And I did a video of this before coming here, and I forgot Jameson on that too. And I have to give a shout out to Jameson. He's our 1-year-old. Love Jameson. But my hope is that growth keeps going. And kind of with what we're studying and what we're doing in a little bit lately is kind of looking as I want to keep growing intellectually in the Bible. I love getting into stuff and finding out a new mystery about God and finding out a new mystery. And it does more than just like, ooh, that's a cool factoid. It pushes my trust in him. It pushes my awe and wonder in the greatness and the joy, and that I want to grow in relationship with him to where it's not I need to set aside 30 minutes a day to spend time with God, to where it's just seamless. He's part of my day. It's in and out. Prayer can be quick. It can be devoted. It can be just immersed in how I'm doing. And the other thing is I want to really, really push for growth in obedience. So many times we get home and there was a situation, it's like, I could have done this better. I could have done this. And right now it still takes that like switch of thought of like, I need that switch to turn for me to do something and act in response. And I want that to be just a more instinctual, more seamless part. And I want those things to kind of shine and come out of me. So that's where I'm at.